Al Jazeera Podcasts.
Today, one of TV's biggest nights is breaking away from its old home.
We're talking about the Oscars, which starting in just a few years will no longer be on network television. The show is headed to YouTube starting in 2029.
As live television keeps losing viewers, why are digital platforms now fighting for our biggest shared moments? I'm Kevin Hirten, and this is The Take. Before we continue with today's show, remember to leave us a comment telling us what you think about this episode and what stories you want us to do next. Or if you're on your favorite podcast app, leave us a review telling us where you're listening from. And you might as well give us a 5-star rating. It really does help the show.
My name is Angela Palumbo. I am a tech reporter for Barron's, and I am on Long Island, New York.
Angela, welcome to The Take. So the Oscars is one of those events, increasingly rare these days, actually, where people sit down and they watch TV together. And, you know, it's been like that for years. I mean, since it was first broadcast on NBC back in 1953, then in the 70s, ABC got the rights to the Oscars, and it only grew in popularity. I mean, millions of people tune in every year. I'm curious, was it something that you grew up watching yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. It's, I think, just like a lot of families, a lot of American families. It's something I sat down, watched with specifically my sister. We loved watching award shows together, not only the actual show itself, but also all the red carpet. We loved looking at all the pretty dresses and everything. And even now, I still watch it every year, and I keep up with it on social media, see who's arriving, what they're wearing. So it's definitely something that I think people across the country watch pretty consistently every year. It's something they look forward to. They keep an eye on the nominations and what movies they think are going to be nominated. And I definitely was one of those people, myself and my family.
So for my entire lifetime, ABC was the home of the Oscars, but I guess that will no longer be the case. And it sounds like from your reporting, the decision to move the Oscars to online streaming was very carefully considered. What actually pushed the Academy toward YouTube instead of sticking with a traditional TV network?
Yeah, when this news broke, it was very interesting to me because it wasn't a traditional player like, you know, a streaming platform like Netflix, or even just moving strictly to Disney Plus, which obviously is owned by Disney. The Oscars have been on ABC, owned by Disney since the 70s. So I was very interested why they chose YouTube, which most people view as a traditional social media platform, not, you know, a streamer, which is pretty competitive. The highlight there is how competitive YouTube actually is. So just Nielsen has actually reported, Nielsen does monthly numbers based on how many people are watching what type of TV. According to Nielsen data, in May, for the first time, streaming beat out total TV watch time of cable and broadcast combined. That's been consistent every month since that May report. And that report was really important because it was a proof point of this happened. People keep saying people are cutting the cord. Now we have a number to show that this is really happening. The most recent number, the November number, where streaming represented 46.7% of TV watch time. And that also beat out the combined total for cable, which was at about 21%, and broadcast at about 23%. So streaming is really beating out cable for TV watch time. What's even more interesting in all of these numbers is YouTube. YouTube is consistently the number one streaming platform every month in terms of total TV watch time. People are going to YouTube at the end of their day or during the day or whatever it is to watch content. There's so much type of content on YouTube. It is seemingly endless, and there's content for everybody. If I want to watch a makeup tutorial, I can go on YouTube and watch that. If my husband wants to watch the Buffalo Bills highlights for the weekend, he can watch that. Very different types of content, all on the same platform. So it's really popular among people. It's beating out other streamers while streamers are beating out traditional TV.
Wow. Is there a sense that this is like big picture, that this is the TV network's own fault, like they were part of their own undoing. I mean, they probably had every advantage about moving their product into streaming, yet they allowed these tech companies to come in and kind of steal their lunch.
That's a great question. I think the answer is most likely yes. Netflix came in and started doing something really interesting and really different. And it took quite some time for these other companies to catch up. And these other companies pretty consistently follow suit with what Netflix is doing. We saw Netflix introduce their ad tier and really hit home on preventing password sharing amongst people in different households. And now we're seeing other streamers do that, but like a couple of years after Netflix has done it. So Netflix consistently proves that this is what people enjoy or what people are willing to pay for. And these media companies are following suit. A legacy company, an old company, it's going to take time. When it takes so much money to change your entire business platform, they're not just going to do it automatically. They're going to need to see the proof points, which is why the numbers of the streaming officially beating out traditional TV time is such an important number because it finalizes and says this is where people are going. And it's no coincidence to me that that number came out in May, and now we're seeing the Oscars move to YouTube.
Yeah. And I remember actually in one of your reports, you quoted an expert who said that the short form video streamers are doing to the Netflixes what Netflix did to cable companies.
Yeah, short form video is so important in this conversation when we talk about people's view time. TikTok is so popular. TikTok, Instagram has Reels. YouTube has its own short form video content. Every social media platform, Snapchat, has short form video capabilities because people, especially young people, have the attention span where they just want to watch quick content and they're just scrolling through different videos. So it's definitely taking viewing time away from traditional TV. However, for YouTube, they're in that market already, whether it be, the similar type of Reels videos that they have, like YouTube Shorts, or just the YouTube videos. Some YouTube videos are a minute long.
Yeah.
Some YouTube videos are 3 hours long. So they're in that market already, and it's been beneficial for them, while other streaming services are lagging behind in that.
After decades of relying on traditional TV ads, live events like the Oscars are now moving on platforms where people can, skip the commercials, they can scroll away, or they can watch it in pieces afterwards. How do you think this shift is changing the way that advertisers and sponsors think about reaching audiences like this?
Yeah, advertisers are really smart, and they are going to go where the people that are interested in the products they're advertising are going to be. So when you look at traditional TV, what are the commercials we're always seeing? We're seeing a lot of pharmaceutical ads. We're seeing a lot of ads that might gear towards an older population. Not completely. There's other ads out there, of course. But when you look at a YouTube or other social media, the ads are quite different. What's great about social media for advertisers is the algorithm. They're able to find the type of people that are interested in their products and advertise to them specifically. The ads that I see on my YouTube or other social media in general is going to look different than the ads that my husband sees or a friend sees because it follows the type of things that you're interested in. It's also interesting because advertisers are doing different types of advertisements, specifically social media. We see on YouTube, if someone has a video podcast, this episode was sponsored by X.
Yeah.
And that might come up on this podcast, right? Advertisers are able to sponsor things specifically. There also is going to be actual collaborations with influencers, with social media creators. They get paid to say a product is really great, to wear that product. People want to see it out and about, and they're able to do it. So the way that they're actually advertising is shifting. What's also interesting is it's not just social media. Streaming platforms consistently are advertising more. So advertisers are able to now move to those streaming platforms, and that allows for access to people that might not be on traditional cable anymore, specifically the younger demographic.
We'll have more with Angela after this break. Let's talk a little bit about how we got here. I mean, YouTube isn't just another place to watch TV. It started as a very different kind of platform, more as a social media network almost. Tell me a little bit about YouTube's DNA and how it started and how it's evolved over time.
Yeah, YouTube seemingly has been around for a long time, and it's definitely evolved in the way that and the type of content it has. I remember sitting around watching YouTube videos that were probably a little old for me when I was watching them, a little mature, but don't tell my mom. But no, I mean, I think people have always been able to go onto YouTube and find content that's interesting to them. YouTube is user generated content. The content on YouTube is created pretty much exclusively by everyday people. That's shifted a little bit. It's not just I mean, anybody can post on YouTube, right? I can do it right now. But the more popular channels are going to be people that, have large followings, have a lot of subscribers, influencers, social media creators, etc. But there's so much different type of content out there. When I look at a platform like Disney Plus, for example, that's geared towards families. They have all the Disney movies and shows. People love Disney, so it's not surprising that it's a very popular streamer. But if you don't have children or a family, or if you live alone, you might be less inclined to have a platform like that. YouTube has something for everybody. There is seemingly unlimited amounts of content on YouTube, and that's been consistent. What's changing now, the culture of YouTube is evolving for a couple reasons. Number one, because everyday people are making the content, when culture shifts, it's kind of like a natural progression, right? I want to make something modern just because that's the time that we're in right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to make something that's going to get people interested, that's going to get people to watch. The content that's popular is the content I'm going to post because I want people to watch it. Also, news agencies, media companies, the Oscars are moving to this platform because it is so popular amongst everyday people.
Yeah.
The Pew Research Center has some research out that I thought was really interesting, that Facebook and YouTube outpace all other social media sites as places where Americans specifically regularly get the news. The numbers specifically, 38% of US adults say they regularly get news on Facebook, and 35% say the same about YouTube. So these media sites, they want to be where eyeballs are, other programs like the Oscars, and that is all being uploaded onto YouTube now.
Younger audiences don't seem attached to live TV the way earlier generations were. Certainly I was. A study from a test says that 41% of people under 30 say they don't watch live TV. And when you look at Gen Z, do they still want these big cultural moments like award shows or live events? And if so, how do you think their preferences will impact how these events are presented going forward?
Streaming and social media are going to be the place for sure where advertisers are going to be battling out specifically, and they already are, for younger audiences. I think we're going to continue to see this shift. We already have. The Oscars made a very definitive, we are going to YouTube 100% in a couple years. This isn't brand new. Other live events are doing this. Sporting events are a massive asset for these media companies right now. We're seeing companies like Netflix, Peacock, Paramount, what doesn't matter who they are. They have a streaming platform. They are fighting for the rights for football games, baseball games. Netflix just made a deal to have MLB games. So they're spending a lot of money to get this live content on their platforms. When it comes to award shows, the SAG Awards were on Netflix last year, and I think they're going to be in 2026. The Academy of Country Music Awards was on Prime Video. So it's not uncommon. And then we also saw last year the Oscars was on ABC and Disney Plus. They want to make sure that their audiences are going to get the content wherever they're going. And as that content shifts, as people move, it's like a cycle that keeps feeding into itself, right? So also, media companies are increasingly recognizing that this is the shift. We used to see a couple years ago, even companies say we are still passionate about our linear businesses. We are still passionate about our traditional channels. Now we're seeing, for a call out, the new CEO of Paramount, David Ellison, just said the direct-to-consumer business is a priority for them. Direct-to-consumer meaning their streaming businesses. So these companies are recognizing it, they're seeing it, the numbers are proving it, and that's where people are going.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like, it might not seem like it's a big deal, but there is something lost. I mean, TV used to be free. And now, you try to watch football, or I try to watch my favorite Premier League team, and you literally cannot watch every single match because they're all streamed by different groups. I mean, I know that the Academy has framed this move as a way to expand access to the Oscars around the world, but YouTube isn't equally accessible everywhere, whether it's because of internet costs or censorship or platform restrictions. I mean, when a major cultural event moves online like this, who actually gains access and who's left out?
Yeah, so the conversation about access when it comes to YouTube is very interesting because when the academies announced that they were moving to YouTube, they really touted in the press release that they were going to be, increasing or really focusing on their global reach, right? They're going to be including closed captioning and audio tracks in different languages. YouTube is free, right? The platform, if you have internet access, you can watch anything on YouTube with ads. So that's just been the case. So the overarching argument is this is more accessible. It's free.
Yeah.
The problem is internet. Not everybody has access to reliable internet. Even if you have basic internet, sometimes videos, streaming platforms, they're very laggy. And then there's places that don't have internet at all. So those people won't be able to watch, obviously, if you don't have Wi-Fi access. Another thing I think is interesting that I haven't seen really talked about is older people. Older people are very comfortable with cable. Older people turn on the TV, they click a channel, they click their DVR box, and they're watching shows.
Yeah.
It's going to be a challenge, I think, for some people, for some older people who want to watch something like the Oscars, to figure out how to even open up YouTube.
Yeah.
Do they have it on their TV? Do they have a smart TV? Are they going to watch? Do they have a smartphone? So that does change the accessibility a little bit as well.
Yeah. So, okay, finally, Angela, I guess it's sort of, why is this important? Right? When you put all of this together, the Oscars moving to YouTube, the drop in live TV viewing, and the way people watch on their own terms now, can we honestly say that TV as we know it is dying, or do you think it still has a meaningful role ahead?
It's hard to say if TV is dying for sure. It's definitely been disrupted, right? There's no question. It is changing. A lot of people still have their traditional cable, but at the end of the day, it is changing, it is evolving, and it's moving, and people are moving with it. It's moving because people are switching the way that they watch. There is it's still surviving because of things that keep it alive, sports, those bundles. But at the end of the day, it is a big shift. And it's important because it's important for people to have access to media. It's important for people to have access to the news. It's important for people to be able to sit down at the end of the day and turn on something that is just going to turn their brain off and be able to enjoy. It's important that people have access to entertainment and things that make them smile. And the way that it's changing, it's expensive, but it's also just complicated. And until I don't see this becoming less complicated for quite some time, I think that these companies are going to continue to duke it out for access to these different events. And it'll be really interesting to see where this goes. And everyday people are going to continue to probably feel pretty frustrated about it unless they have every single streaming platform, and they don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think there was an old quote from somebody talking about the way to make money in media is either be unbundling or bundling. And it's this constant cycle of bundling and unbundling. And I wonder if this move to YouTube represents a new form of bundling where people really just want to go to one source like they used to and be able to turn on YouTube and find everything. And it sounds like the Oscars at least will be there.
The Oscars is the first step for YouTube. I will be closely watching to see if YouTube is able to acquire more programs, more content. I am very excited to see where YouTube goes from here. YouTube is a really big company, and it's a really successful business model. And I would be very interested to see if this, now it's not for a couple of years. The Oscars are still going to be on ABC until 2029. But if they get more content like this, that would be really, really interesting to see. And I think it might panic the other media players.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Angela, thank you so much for coming on The Take.
Thank you for having me.